We have 10 notes in front of us, and we are confused whether these are in different places. You see numbers, you see colored brackets, but it's not making sense. The question has been asked, is there a whole step between this position here and this position here? And how will we know if there is a whole step between these positions? What is the one factor we can look at that tells us this? Again, we're looking at these fingers here and these fingers here. So let's look a little closer and let's find the constant. What note is the same in both measures? The D is the same, okay? So we're going to go with the D. We're going to use that. We have a third finger here. And in the second measure, there is a first finger. You know by virtue of having your tapes that the third finger and the first finger are 2 half steps apart, thus a whole step. So the answer is yes, these 2 positions are a whole step apart. The first is here, then you shift back, then you go up a whole step. Remember, we started here. Look at the first finger, and now we go here. Another question has been asked. These 2 notes, what is the difference between these 2 notes in interval-wise? And the answer, again, you can always rely upon your tapes. If you ask yourself the question, does it fit in first? So we're going to make these notes fit in the first position. Again, we're just looking at these notes right here. Avoid everything else. We want to see if this note here and this note here, how far apart? That's the question. How far apart is the 2 in -1? Now we have put it in the first. And the answer is in your tapes, because your 2 and regular 1 are half. So a 2 and a -1 is a whole. It's a whole step. Now let me ask you the question. By using our steps, I want you to find the distance between these 2 notes. We have to always use what we know. What is our knowledge base? The first position. Eliminate these 2 right here. We're not going to worry about that. And let's place the fingering as we know in the first position. Now we have placed them in first. 4 and 2. How many half steps do you count? 2 half steps, thus 1 whole step. Always think about this when you're trying to decipher fingerings and your teacher gives you something or you find something online with these different fingerings. Here's another good example right here. This can be confusing to some people. I want you to figure this out as I'm talking to you. Think about your positions as mathematics, as in the concept of the lowest common denominator. When you're doing simplification of equations, you want to get them to what? Their smallest value in order to solve them. It makes it easier. Your lowest common denominator in cello concerning positions is the first position. Find it in first position. And if it's more advanced, either in first or in fourth position. But the first position is a really good rule to go by. So again, if you worked on this while I was talking, I'm going to highlight our rules. Let's isolate this. And what are the fingerings in first position? Correct. What is the distance between these 2? A whole step. Even though you see a shift, the hand moves, so it's here, 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 it is still maintaining its interval distance. The comment has been made. I like to know this because I like to know the distances. But what finger are you thinking about when you make these associations between different positions? And this is where I'm going to ask you to consider my pedagogy. I consider the position of the hand, though it's named, I've already discussed on the channel, based upon the violin here, first, second, third, fourth. I'm going to ask you to associate the distances in between positions relative to the second finger. The reason is the second finger is never stretched, it's never extended between 2, 3, and 4 along this neck. Of course, higher it changes the rule. So it's always a constant. It's always a constant whole step. So if you think about that, where is your second finger? Because the first finger can extend, go back and forth. It has been asked, the colors that I use in my brackets, I do associate it very much with the placement of the second finger, our core right here, a little tree trunk. And so this right here, if you look right here, the lower second position, these are positions, the lower second and the lower third are associated with flat keys, and we are playing something here in the B flat major. But this is a very good question to ask. So right here, lower third, that means a 2 is in outer space, and then our 1 is going to be on G. If we are extending back, this is a lower third with an extension back, this would be still, in my opinion, in my pedagogy, this would still qualify as a lower third position because majority of the fingers, the majority of your digits are in the lower third position. So here is the whole etude in total. This is the Moulin en Rouge, Allegro in B flat. At least my dog was quiet for that last bit.